how does a product help you drive the right governance, the right intensity, the right accountability in your engagements? And if you're able to standardize how that happens, then it helps the customer trust that, hey, I know I can rely on this partnership to do more. I know that if we start an initiative, even if it's even beyond onboarding, right? Hey, I need this new integration to happen, or I need to set up new workflows. I have this problem I need someone to help me solve, and we're going to solution together and work on a problem together. If all of those things become not, I'm having to follow up with this vendor, I'm having to chase them to get something done, but instead it feels like, hey, this partnership is one where the vendor is on top of things always. They're chasing me to get things done once I tell them what I need to happen. The ball is always in their court, is the feeling that we want the customer to have. If we manage to make that happen, I think then the outcomes from the partnership start to flourish.
Are you a scaling SaaS founder? Ready to make the leap from leading a team to leading an organization? Join us each week as we refill your think tank with actionable tips and strategies from great business minds you know and those who don't know yet. This is SaaS Fuel with your host, 5-time entrepreneur, SaaS founder, and globetrotting adventurer, Jeff Maines.
Welcome back to the SaaS Fuel podcast, where meaningful partnerships aren't just handshakes and logos. They are the rocket fuel behind real growth and long-term wins. I'm your host, Jeff Maines. I help B2B SaaS founders like you grow from traction to scale. Here, growth is more than just numbers. It's about crafting a future-proof company, premium valuation, and leaders who build a business of significance while living epic, adventurous lives. This is episode 301, 301 episodes. Wow. Yeah, when I started, I put this off for a long time because I didn't want to be one of those podcast hosts that started and then quit 8 episodes in or whatever it was. And I didn't want to fail, kind of like all of us, right? Committed to do 50 episodes, even if I sucked. And did 50 episodes, and I absolutely sucked. The guests were awesome. I was less so for sure. And here we are. We hit 50 and then 100 and 150 and kept going. Better. The guests are still awesome. And I think I suck less. Maybe. We'll see. But the big thing is I just wanted to take a minute and just say thank you. 300 plus episodes. This year, we've surpassed 1 million downloads. We're on pace to do 2 million by the end of this year. Video views and listens and watches. And that's just fantastic. Your comments, feedback, and encouragement absolutely mean a lot. I think one of the greatest resources, maybe the greatest resource we have, is time. And you're investing your time here, and I appreciate that. And really appreciate you going on this journey and investing your time here, whether this is your first episode or if this is your 301st. So thank you. Imagine landing the deal, then losing the customer before they even log in. And this happens so much. Welcome to the world of SaaS onboarding, where the real work begins after the signature. Today, we're going to unpack why the first 30 days are less setup and more second sale, and how a smooth start can turn new users into lifelong champions. You'll hear how AI-powered agents are rewriting the rule book, guiding implementation teams, flagging bottlenecks, and elevating customer success from reactive troubleshooting to proactive partnership. Dive into the mechanics of building trust early, treating onboarding as a two-way street instead of just a checklist, and weaving community insights into every step so users feel seen, supported, ready to expand. Sound good? Expect a candid conversation about the pitfalls of serving multiple industries, the art of aligning with your customers' goals, not just your milestones, and the hidden ROI that comes when vendors stop thinking service delivery and start thinking joint mission. If you're serious about slashing churn, boosting expansion revenue, or simply making customers say, wow, that was easy, this conversation is your playbook. So here we go. Onboarding is about to get a whole lot smarter. Our expert guest last Thursday was Christy Jones. Christy is a sales leader with 2 decades of hands-on experience transforming underperforming pipelines into well-oiled revenue engines. In our conversation, Christy shared why most closed lost deals are really just not right now, and how smart outreach and discipline can bring them back. Her book, Released last year, Selling Your Way In empowers sellers to find roles that amplify their strengths and lead to extraordinary outcomes. And our founder last week was Aaron Godby, CEO of Green Irony. That's a company helping clients break through the AI hype with real world transformative solutions. Aaron and his team are always scaling digital labor in a way that complements and elevates human talent. From education to enterprise, his work shows how AI can drive tangible business results. And of course, how organizations can thrive by embracing this new kind of workforce. If you missed either episode, go back and check those out. My guest today is Sri Ganesan, co founder and CEO of Rocketlane. They are the SaaS company that is redefining customer onboarding. Sri's journey from building Conator, which is acquired by Freshworks and evolved into FreshChat, to now spearheading Rocketlane is a masterclass in product led growth and customer success. With deep expertise in SaaS delivery and a sharp eye on AI innovation, Sri is pioneering the onboarding experience that turns customers into long term advocates. His vision? Elevate onboarding from a checklist to strategic advantage. Let's welcome Sri Ganesan. Hey, Sri, welcome to SaaS Fuel.
Hi, Jeff. Thanks for having me on.
You built multiple SaaS businesses, including one acquired by Freshworks. What was the spark that led to founding Rocketlane?
I think once we had one successful SaaS business, had an exit, it was always a question of when we would do one more. And
Love it.
we always had that ambition to do one more. And we also learned a lot at Freshworks because Freshworks scaled like crazy. We spent 4.5 years there after the acquisition. So watched a lot of what was happening in the company, how the company grew, and learned and said, okay, we want to do one more. We want to take a lot of the learnings from the Conator and Freshworks journey and incorporate that. But we also want to have our own spin on it. And that was like the spark. It wasn't about a specific idea, which is what you would expect. And then we looked back at our journey and said, okay, now what idea can we pick? What felt broken in our previous experience? And one of the things we identified was this whole implementation journey or like services projects that we would do to make customers successful with us. Always felt like a black box, always felt like there was anxiety on our side, anxiety on the customer side when things were going on. Will we really launch on the date we planned to and all of that? So felt it was enough of a challenge that it made sense to build something purpose built with some sort of a point of view on why things are broken today, how software can help fix it.
Oh, that's great. Let's take a minute and just dive into the product. What does Rocketlane do, and what's the core problem you're solving for customer success and onboarding teams?
Sure. So Rocketlane is the category is called professional services automation. It's essentially a platform where teams can run projects or initiatives collaboratively with customers. There's a separate, simpler UX for the customer to follow the partnership, what's happened so far, where things are headed, what's waiting on them, providing feedback on the experience they're going through, etc. And there's separate experience, a more powerful experience for the internal team. And then there is also the operational side of running a services org, which is how do I staff an upcoming project? How do I track the efforts? How do I invoice the customer for services? How do I do revenue recognition the right way? How do I calculate utilization rates? So we think of it as front end and back end of running a services business, or front office and back office. And we provide software that encompasses all of that. I would add that I think our ambition in this space has changed in recent times. So when you think about what we do so far, and it's been fairly successful, it's all about managing the work, tracking the work, staffing the work, measuring the work, etc. It's not the actual work itself. But with AI, I think every company needs to think about what is our role in actually doing the work. So we're actually
Mm,
introducing a whole new set of capabilities, which is think of it as a AI workforce for the teams that we serve for the professional services and implementation teams. So agents that would work alongside these teams to actually do the work as well.
I love that. That's a really good extension. It's a logical next step, and technology makes that possible now. Where a year, 2 years ago, it probably wasn't, and now that's a great next step for Rocket Lane in actually doing the work.
Absolutely. I think I would say even 6 months ago, we thought about it differently. And there are always these moments where you see things and you're like, okay, the world has clearly changed. I would say for
Yeah,
us, it was looking at how Operator from OpenAI functioned was one such moment. Trying out Lovable, this sort of AI app that you can use to prototype or build, like you just prompt, it builds an entire app for you.
it's pretty
So those two
amazing.
experiences, yeah, it really opened our eyes to, okay, it's a new world. Let's reimagine where we want to create. And I think the big thing is with AI, you don't want to do incremental impact. You want to look at where you can bring radical changes. And that's a path we've set out on now.
Yeah. It's such an important thing too. Onboarding when done well, it's something that can really keep customers around for a long time. And done poorly, I've had some bad onboardings that during the onboarding process, whether it's automated or live, I'm in the process of looking for an alternative solution in the middle of the process because it's just not going well. And I think a big part of churn starts to happen in people's minds early on. Why do you think onboarding is the biggest untapped lever for SaaS growth? How do you fix that and make it a great experience?
Yeah, I think I completely agree with what you said about like your own experience thinking about, hey, I need to part ways with this vendor and choose someone else if things aren't going well. That's
Yeah.
exactly why. I was talking to another founder who was looking to purchase a solution recently, and I was asking him, hey, why has this become important for you now? And the answer he gave was, we've realized that onboarding is the second sale that we need to do for every
Ooh,
customer.
that's good.
So once you contract, you're not done. You need to
Right.
sell again. This time you're selling the partnership experience. The customer needs to buy into you being the right partner by seeing it in action, and that happens during that onboarding journey. And
Yeah.
once you sell again and you're successful at it, I think then it's like a trajectory where the customer decides, hey, I like working with this vendor. Let me find what more I can do with them. So customers are always looking for consolidating their efforts around a few number of vendors. They don't want to bring like a new vendor for everything. So if you've done well, you're going to have that natural expansion. People are going to pull more from you. They're going to ask you, hey, by the way, can you also solve this problem for me? And for a lot of SaaS, I think once you look at scaled SaaS, you will realize that every large SaaS company is a multi-product company for a reason. It's
Mm. Yeah.
because once someone buys from you and they like working with you, they like your product, they trust you, they want to do more with you. I think
Yes.
that's really where NRR gets built.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Once you have that audience, it's always looking for how else can I upsell, cross sell? How can we deepen this relationship?
Exactly.
Yeah. I love you talking about that as the implementation or onboarding as the next sale, because I think it's absolutely correct in that change is hard. And I think the perception of change and just making that decision is hard enough. So many deals are lost, they're just closed, no action, no decision. And once you get them to make that decision, then that next step is making that onboarding really good so that they have confidence they made the right decision.
Yeah, pretty much. I would say if you help them validate the decision, the person who made the decision looks good within the company, they
Yeah.
trust the partnership, they double down on the partnership. Is they're going to look at, hey, what's the first opportunity to exit this partnership, right? You may have them locked down for a year, 2 years, but they're going to churn at first opportunity. They're going to start dating others
Right.
while working with you on one side. So definitely, and I think there's more to it. Our product isn't only about onboarding, right? It's also about any services engagement or initiative you want to continue to run collaboratively with the customer. And if you're
I like
able
that.
to bring this idea of how does a product help you drive the right governance, the right intensity, the right accountability in your engagements, and if you're able to standardize how that happens, then it helps the customer trust that, hey, I know I can rely on this partnership to do more. I know that if we start an initiative, even if it's even beyond onboarding, right? Hey, I need this new integration to happen, or I need to set up new workflows. I have this problem I need someone to help me solve, and we're going to solution together and work on a problem together. If all of those things become not, I'm having to follow up with this vendor, I'm having to chase them to get something done, but instead it feels like, hey, this partnership is one where the vendor is on top of things always. They're chasing me to get things done once I tell them what I need to happen. The ball is always in their court, is the feeling that we want the customer to
Yeah.
have. And if we manage to make that happen, I think then the outcomes from the partnership start to flourish, because it's not about installing software, right? It's about saying, how can I help you get to the right outcomes? What are those measurable outcomes you want to drive? And every quarter, you may pick certain outcomes with the customer saying, hey,
Mm.
where do you want to go? Here is the metric you're trying to influence. Let's pick a few initiatives and drive them through this quarter and measure how we're doing on it. And if you're able to do that as a CSM or like a services person engaging with the customer, driving that partnership forward. And it was interesting. I met a prospect last week who calls these initiatives missions. So,
Oh,
what
that's
missions are
good.
you picking for each quarter with the customer? And then make those missions happen. Bring the knowledge and expertise, but also bring the a way of working, a way of driving things through together. I think that's going to help the customer reflect at the end of the quarter, end of the year. Here are all the missions we went on together, and here are the outcomes we got to. And that's the thing that's going to prevent churn, that's going to make it super easy for them to justify to their finance. Here's what we accomplished together in this partnership. That's how growth is going to happen.
Yeah, I like that. I think the more you do that, the deeper that trust goes. And there's so many vendors out there that truly are just vendors, and they would never have that conversation. I think that puts you in a different category, more like partner, where you're having those discussions and really working with them to help them grow their business and add value. I think that there'd be a lot
Absolutely.
greater expansion revenue in that as well.
Yes, I think I keep telling this to our customers as well. Don't treat us as a vendor, treat us as a partner. I
Yeah.
think even the so we have this thing called the customer portal where the customers can follow the journey, look at what initiatives have been picked up or what projects are ongoing, what's the details of those projects, what documents have been created, what updates were sent, all of that in one place. And we call this the UX for your partnership, right? So it is always a partnership, and you can request for new services or new initiatives on the partnership through that portal. You can review what's happened in the partnership so far. So, yeah, I mean, our mental model for the relationship definitely is, hey, this is a partnership.
Yeah. That's good. A minute ago, you mentioned some of the lessons that you learned through the acquisition and at Freshworks. What are maybe some of those lessons that you brought over? And or maybe some of the things, what did you have to unlearn as a second time founder?
I think there's a bunch of things we learned at Freshworks, including, I think, seeing the overall power of compounding, where everything you build over a period of time, whether it's brand, content, thought leadership, product itself. Key things over here. One, it happens that I think, you know, learnings on the GTM side, learnings about compounding, learnings about how, as you build more and more product, you're able to solve more complete, like a robust set of use cases for every customer. And one of our lessons from Freshworks was you don't always need to start with an MVP. So What we did differently at Rocketlane was we said, hey, we're going to start with something that is more full featured. We're going to pick up, hey, this is the function for which we're going to solve jobs to be done. We're going to pick an entire set of jobs to be done and see how we can bring all of those experiences that are siloed for them to get today into a one app experience for them. So you may be using forms and spreadsheets and Slack shared channels and docs and project management tools and PSA tools today. Tomorrow, it's all going to be one experience. So
Mm.
we didn't wait to launch one piece at a time. We said we're going to launch the whole thing. And we had to de risk building all of this without actively working with a customer. And that's something we tried once at Freshworks, learned. So we were able to borrow that same way of working over here, validate things along the way without actually giving customers the thing in their hands. That
Wow.
was the interesting thing that we borrowed. Then I think on the GTM side, there are many things that we borrowed from the Freshworks journey. Also, the importance of marketing and having the right messaging was something that we learned from there as well. What we did differently, though, I would say we built a community from day one. 9 months before we launched product, we launched a community for our space. We focused on brand a lot more from early at Rocketlane. I think Freshworks started later in the journey. So it was a lesson where I saw they started later, they could have started earlier, should have probably started earlier. So that's like something that I incorporated into our way of doing things. So yeah, a lot of interesting learning that we had in that journey that we've sort of, I think from a people perspective as well, one of the mental
Yes.
models I got from Girish, the founder and CEO of Freshworks, was there are, everyone you hire has good talent. You just need to find the right role which is a fit for them. Sometimes people are stuck in the wrong role. That doesn't mean they're a bad hire necessarily. You just need to find what is their true strength, what gives them joy, and find the right role for them.
Oh, that's really helpful. Anything that you had to unlearn the second time around, things that you wanted to do differently, or based on the things that you learned that you decided we're going to do this somehow different with Rocket Lane?
Yeah, I would say from a unlearn perspective, probably a few things. We, in our space, we went upmarket fairly quickly. We always
Okay.
knew that, but I think Freshworks serves a audience where there are lots and lots of buyers. The TAM is almost infinite. It's customer support software, right? Like everyone, every business needs it. Versus we have a more limited TAM that we're starting with. There's ways we will expand TAM over time, but the we started with a narrow TAM of like software companies that have implementation projects or their partners, right? And so our approach to selling needed to be a little more, I would say, we needed to focus a lot more on converting every opportunity we got. It was a little more evangelistic as a sale because it's a new kind of product. It was a little more outbound that we needed to build from early on compared to Freshworks. I think first 50 million of revenue probably just came from inbound. Those were a few things that we needed to rethink, do differently. I wouldn't say unlearn. Maybe one other area we had to unlearn was how deep we needed CSMs or our implementation folks, etc., to know the customer's world, their language, we needed everyone to be not just product experts in our product, but also experts in the customer's business, way of thinking, etc. Which we for domain like customer support, that's easier because you have an easy mental model around what does it take to support customers well, etc. Versus services space, you need to learn more about the domain itself.
That's really good. What about the early traction? You talked about being able to test the market without actually putting it in customers' hands. I mean, was there a moment of early traction once it was in customers' hands that you really knew that you had something big in Rocket Lane? I mean, you're really solving something deeply painful and something that companies desperately need?
Yeah, the way I think early on, one of the good things that happened for us was we were number one on product hunt the day we launched. So that gave
Okay,
us a
that's big.
bunch of inbound. Yeah. So gave us a bunch of inbound, and we were able to learn for each of those people who came in inbound. It's a interesting trick that we did. On our website, it says free trial, sign up for free. You click on it, it looks like you're filling a form to get access to the product. You give your email address, give your phone number, click on get my free trial access. Then you just get a pop-up that says we will be reaching out to provision the account for you. And on our reach out, we would say, and this is only for the first, I think, 8, 9 months that we did it this way. We
Okay.
would say, hey, we've set up your account. Can we get on a call to do a handoff of your account to you? Because we wanted to make sure we are talking to each of those folks. Of course, if they insist, no, just give me the account, I want to play around with it, I don't want to talk to
Right.
anyone, we would still do that. But this gave us an opportunity to talk to a lot of the folks who were small companies, medium companies who were wanting to experience the product, who weren't necessarily in the market buying because it's like product hunt audience, they were just checking out stuff sometimes. But it got us those conversations where we could validate what is resonating, what pitch is going to work, how is the customer articulating the problem, etc. And that helped us a lot in our ability to sell to these audiences and ability to even find who's the right fit customer we should be chasing, etc.
So valuable to have that in their own words and be able to use that in marketing and have those conversations. That's really powerful. What if a leadership book and a Netflix drama had a baby? That is The Captain's Keys, Storms, Emotional Wreckage, and a surprisingly practical leadership system that one CEO called the owner's manual and never got for 20 years of leadership. Here is the brutal truth. You're probably drowning in LinkedIn connections while starving for real relationships. I hear it all the time. Most leaders are exhausted from playing the lone hero, and it's killing both your results and your sanity. The Captain's Keys reveals a new leadership framework, the stability matrix, four specific relationships that prevent burnout while multiplying your impact. And this isn't just theory. It's a system that I've used to scale companies and taught over 1,000 executive leaders. So grab your copy today at thecaptainskeys.com, Amazon, or choose your own adventure, print, ebook, or audio. Stop drowning alone and build your stability matrix. What's been the biggest challenge in building Rocketland? Is it the product? Is it the people? Is it how to position it in the marketplace? What is it that stands out?
I think the biggest challenge is there's different kinds of sub verticals or types of services companies that we need to service to increase our TAM. And for our teams to learn about each of those businesses, what matters to them, it's going to take effort from everyone to learn and coach each other. And so let's say we're selling to SaaS companies that have services teams, or we're selling to services companies that do SaaS product implementations. I think
Sure.
there's like a uniformity in what they want out of the software. The moment you go to, let's say, marketing agencies or consulting companies, what matters to them, what messaging will work with them, what should we focus on in a demo with them, how to do the right discovery with them, all of that is going to be nuanced. And I think the more mature sales folks, pre-sales folks will automatically understand what that is and adapt. But you need to bring everyone along in this journey and coach everyone to do justice to every conversation. So that's the hard part.
Yeah. Yeah. Hiring for onboarding focused softwares, it seems to me like it'd be unique. How do you build a team that balances empathy along with speed and strategic insight?
I think we look at people who bring some raw smarts with them. That's one of the, and we're looking at people who know they're coming to learn and grow with us. And so we're betting on people who have that hunger for learning and growth. And that automatically selects a certain kind of person who's actively listening for direction, guidance on what else they should be doing, where they should be doing things better, etc. And I think that helps us. And we learn a lot from our customers and we take it back to the rest of the team. Whoever learns is going to share with the rest of the team. Hey, here's something interesting I learned from this customer who's really good at how they do their kickoffs, and here's what I learned, and here's what we should start using. Or, hey, this customer, in their process, they talked about having a steering committee meeting, and here's how they run their steer course, and here's how it's helping them. Maybe we should do this too. So that's where we have been able to really evolve our ways of working and spread that knowledge throughout.
That's really smart because you're right there in the center. You're seeing how everybody is doing onboarding and being able to take the best of the best and incorporate that not only into the tool but into the processes, because it's not just software. There's process around that and best practices, and you're really up leveling those best practices that probably a lot of people don't have insight to, and really understanding how the best companies out there are onboarding.
Absolutely. I think that's the vantage point, not just from customers, but also because of the community that we run. That's one more
Yeah.
place from which we are able to get the knowledge of here are the best people, how they do things, borrow ideas from there, incorporate into our way of working, teach that to other customers. That's been fantastic to do.
Yeah. I love the community aspect of it. There's so much value in that. And one of the other benefits to community is I think mistakes a lot of times make the best teachers. And if we can get those mistakes from somebody else, that's awesome. And sometimes we make them on our own. I've done plenty of that. In looking at Rocket Lane, or maybe even earlier, what's one early misstep that you made that shaped how you lead today?
I think one of the things I would say is I've just been we our teams work really hard, right? We've always been behind on hiring. Maybe that is a mistake, but maybe in 2021, 2022, it actually worked out well for us in the sense that we didn't have to think about, hey, should we let go of folks, etc. We were always leanly
Yeah.
staffed, and we were also growing well. But that puts a constant pressure on the team. When you're growing and you're behind on hiring, you're looking at only, I'll hire only the best people, then your people feel, hey, I referred so many candidates, but we're not hiring fast enough. We're not bringing those people in, but we have that bar. We don't want to go below the bar. So that's one thing which we're figuring out the right balance.
Yeah.
At the same time, I think since people work super hard, I initially found it harder to give them feedback on things that they were doing wrong because
Yeah.
it felt like, hey, after I did so much, if and I don't always remember to appreciate people about the things they're doing well. And when it came to a moment where someone messed up somewhere, how do I, or someone is doing something wrong consistently, how do I make sure that I ask more of them with still acknowledging the hard work that they're putting in? That was something I found difficulty in, but I later realized that people want to hear that. Given the kind of people we've
Yeah.
hired, people want to know, want that feedback anyway. So I should not hold till it's too late. I used to try to do this sandwich feedback, right? Like
I've done
when
that.
if someone did good, then I tell them, hey, you did really well at this, but by the way, you could do that better, and overall things are good. Instead of saying, hey, this did not go well, you need
Yeah.
to do this better.
Yeah. That's good. Are you bootstrapped or funded? What's been your capital strategy and how has that maybe impacted your roadmap and team building approach?
Yeah. So they're funded. We're a Series B company. We raised 24 million last year in our Series B.
Okay.
Overall, 45 million raised till date. And our approach is we are trying to build a generational company over here. We need partners in doing that to fuel our ambitions. And so we've always looked at this as the way to build this venture. The last venture was bootstrapped. And so we have that experience also behind us
Yeah.
of running something without raising money. But this time it was about swinging for the fences, and so it had to be done with the right amount of capital. Allows us to hire the best people, allows us to hire the best leaders who can coach these best people that we're bringing on. So it serves everyone well.
Oh, that's good. And one of the things I was wondering about, you said you're behind in hiring. That's for a funded company. That's normally not the story I hear, which it's actually pretty refreshing to hear that you're actually taking time and making sure that you're getting the right person, the best person, and not just trying to fill roles because you're growing fast. I think that's a trap that a lot of founders fall into, especially when they have funding, is we've got open positions, we've got to fill them. And so they are probably not screening near as well as they should for the long term.
Yeah, I think if the individuals you hire are all high agency, high ambition people, then even if you're behind on hiring, the team will pull through. We'll punch above our
Yeah.
weight and make things happen, and that's what we've been doing so far. And if we plan to hire, I'll give you an example. Let's say you have a BDR team and you're trying to hire for that team, and you have a plan of how many you need to hire to hit your goals. If you don't know how to make, let's say you hired five people and they aren't yet successful, and you want to hire the next five because it's time to hire the next five per
Yeah.
plan, that's going to be bad for everyone involved. You need to have your formula for how you're going to make your team successful. And yes, it may mean if they got to success and you haven't still hired, you're still trying to reach higher targets, maybe you'll find a way for this team to go and make a bigger number happen. I can tell you, first 2 years, even on our sales team, we had way lesser people than we needed to hit our quota, but we still did it. There were people who did 150%, 180% to make it happen,
Yeah.
and it's possible, right? It's not probably sustainable, but it's possible, and that's our approach. Let's make the people we have super successful, and then we will scale the team.
I like that. At the beginning, you talked a little bit about AI and some of the things that you're thinking about or implementing. It's definitely reshaping onboarding professional services, pretty much everything that we're touching in some way. How are you using it today and where is it going next?
I think AI, we started off with how can we help people manage their resources better? How can we help them staff an upcoming project with the right team, which is suggested by AI, not people manually going through like hundreds of folks on their team figuring out the right fit, but they're just
Yeah.
saying, hey, I want to optimize for balancing load. I want to optimize for getting a better margin on this project. Show me which team should I put on this, and suggest all of the roles here people to put in. That was step one for us in AI. We also brought in, so part of the work that teams that users do is they get on meetings with customers and then they need to create various kinds of documents and emails, right? Like they need to put together a
Yeah.
requirements document, a solution document, a configuration document. They need to send an email after a kickoff meeting, email after a cadence call, email after a escalation call. And we said, hey, what you want to glean from a meeting to put into various kinds of documents and emails is going to be different. The granularity at which you want to glean things is different. The formatting of that content is different. What you're looking for is different. So, what if we build something just for this, which uses AI, listens into calls that your team is going on, and has these different templates of what kind of asset you want to create from those calls? And if you say, I want to create a requirements document from this call, boom, automatically the
That's
right information is
beautiful.
pulled from the call. So
Yeah.
this was like the big unlock that we did this year. It's called AI fills. And where we are headed to, as I said before, is, so in a way, AI fills is also about doing the work, right? So we call it our AI scribe, which is actually listening to the call and not just saying here's a transcript, here's a summary, but creating those documents in the right format, creating those emails in the right format. So that's actually doing the work. But even more of doing the work is where we are headed, where you can say, hey, now that I have this configuration document and it's validated by the customer, validated by our team, so it has what needs to get done, can I assign that to an agent to go and do the setup in whatever product, right? So this is all operating outside the boundary of our product. It's not about, So we are also building co-pilots within our product to help you do things within the product, which I think everyone will do. What we're doing
Yeah.
differently is we're saying we're not stopping there. We're going to also build these agentic solutions, and you can also we have an entire agent builder as well, where you can create your own bespoke agents that go and do the work. So you can show it. Here's what I do. Can you come up with how you will do it, agent? It will come up with a plan of how it will
Yeah.
execute, and then you confirm the plan or edit the plan, and then the agent works on the plan.
I like that. One of the things you talked about was professional services automation as the next wave. How should SaaS founders think about automation beyond just internal operations?
I think as SaaS founders, you want to look at not just what is happening within your product, which is where I think the co-pilots that we build play a role. Co-pilots
Yep.
help you. You are doing something, click instead of clicking. Can you have an interface through which you just say, "Hey, here's what I want to get done," and it gets it done. But also look at what is happening around your product, the adjacencies or the boundaries. What is someone exporting from your product and taking to another solution? What is someone working on outside and trying to copy over? What is someone replicating from your product to another system? What other transformations are happening adjacent to your product? That's where a lot of the work content and jobs to be done lie. And that's where you want to start building agentic experiences. So that would be my input for other SaaS founders.
Yeah. That's really, really good. Let's maybe a final takeaway. What is your advice for SaaS founders who maybe underestimating onboarding and the value there? And what's the one thing that they should optimize this quarter?
Yeah, I think you getting a customer off to a good start with you is, I think, the most important thing for you to get right, because as we already said, it's where the fate of the partnership gets decided. Is it a positive, high momentum journey you're going to go on together, or is it going to be that you part ways? And so, having a pulse on it, having the right playbook for it, and bringing the right intensity to it. It's not just saying, hey, we made it easy for the customer. It's about having the right guardrails around when something goes off before the customer escalates. How do you get to know? How do you have that early warnings come in from a system?
Yeah.
I think that's important. So definitely work on getting that right. Even if you're not in the market to buy a tool, at Rocketlane, we're always happy to brainstorm, collaborate, help you solve a problem. So reach out to us. I'm at sri@rocketlane.com. So just wanted to put that out there as well.
Outstanding. That was the next thing I was going to ask is where can people learn more about you and about Rocket Lane?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn as well, Srikrishnan Ganesan, and I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. So do connect with me there. And of course, email us, sri@rocketlane.com. We'll be able to help you. Just visit our site and you can also chat with us.
Absolutely. Yeah, rocketlane.com. And I love what you're building. Absolutely love it. I think onboarding is something that is way too underrated. A lot of companies just get them across the finish line and don't spend the time there. So I love that you're tackling that space in the way that you are and building community around it. I think there is so much more value in it's not just a product, but it's having that community along with it and your expertise and your really the elevated best practices that you bring in the community that makes Rocket Lane awesome. So this is a great conversation today. Thanks for being on SaaS Fuel.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks again, Sri, for coming on the show and sharing your journey and insights. You can learn more about Sri and Rocket Lane at rocketlane.com. As always, as always, all links, highlights, resources, and full show notes are available at saasfuel.com. And be sure to check us out on YouTube as well. It's at Champion Leadership is our channel. We have full video episodes, training, outtakes, shorts, lots of things over there for you on YouTube. And thought leaders share. Share this episode with a product or tech leader who geeks out on elegant solutions. It's a conversation worth dissecting together. And everyone who shares this week gets unlimited access to the Ghostbusters hotline. We called the investors who ghosted you, read them your glowing Glassdoor reviews, and they're waiting on the other end, maybe. Who knows? What happens when a technical founder has to suddenly become a business leader? Wow, that happens a lot. And that is where our next guest, Pete Steggy, comes in. Veteran B2B strategist Pete is the trusted guide for accidental tech CEOs, the brilliant engineers and product minds who now find themselves in the CEO seat. With 30 years of experience across startups and Fortune 100s, Pete helps tech leaders transform their deep expertise into scalable strategy. And our founder next week is Andreas Vaniatis. He's the founder of Artios, which blends Python-powered analytics, proprietary AI, and a deep understanding of search behavior to engineer radical SEO results. Author of Data-Driven SEO with Python, he helps ambitious B2B and tech companies achieve 3 to 5 times more non-brand organic traffic. Very cool. Forget content for content's sake. This is SEO that's surgical, scalable, and seriously smart, especially as SEO is changing to AIO. So I will see you next time, and as always, enjoy the journey.
Thanks for listening to SaaS Fuel. Full show notes for each episode, which includes a summary, key takeaways, quotes, and any resources mentioned, are available at saasfuel.com. Be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're enjoying the content and getting value from these episodes, please leave us a rating and review at ratethispodcast.com/SaaSFuel. We'll be sure to read these out on future episodes.